Welcome to our Torah Anytime viewers. Parshas Noach Taf Shin Pei Dalid, and we know that the pasuk says V'tishacheta Aretz Lifnei Elokim. There was a hashchata in the land. The land was acting abominable. V'timalei Aretz Hamas, and the whole land was full of Hamas, as we all know what just occurred not long ago, unfortunately. But an incredible thing in the Targum. It says on this pasuk, "V'itmalit ara," the land was full of chatufim, of people that were captured. Hamas literally means grabbing or taking advantage of a situation. But it's incredible how the pasuk already predicted us during this time period that we'll have a land full of chatufim, of people that are captives. 199 captives, unfortunately. And who's to blame for all of this? Who's to blame, right? Everybody in the Memshalah is trying to figure out who's to blame. So the pasuk already tells us that it's called Mei Noach. As we all know that the Midrash already tells us Mei Noach was written twice in this pasuk, in this parsha. And the reason why it's called Mei Noach is to tell us that the Mabul was called on the Shem of Noach. Noach was called the one who caused all this Mabul that occurred, even though it was full of Hamas. And where did the Hamas come from? Because of Noach. Noach ish tzadik haya b'dorotav, and still we say that it came from him, because he was a gorem, he was a cause for this Mabul. He was the cause for the Mabul. Why is that? So says the Zohar, an incredible thing, which is our message of the day today, that there's a big difference between Avraham Avinu and Moshe Rabbeinu and Noach. And what's the difference? He says over here, he did not daven on his Bnei Dor. Over there, the Zohar brings that when he came out after a year of being inside of the Teva and he said everything was gone, he goes, oh, what happened? Everyone's dead. Hashem, I thought you were Kel Rachum V'Chanon. I thought you would have pity on them. Why didn't you not have pity of them? And Kodesh Baruch Hu calls him a Re'ah Shacha. You are a shepherd, meaning you're a leader. He's a tzaddik. He's a person who's able to save himself and his family. But one who is not of the absolute prime intelligence compared to Moshe Rabbeinu, who is called the Re'ah Me'amnuta, that he was the one who is the Naaman. He not only is a Roeh, he's not only a shepherd, but one who cares and expands his inner self more to everybody else around him. He was interested in for the whole entire tzibur, and it would have been taken care of for the whole entire tzibur. Moshe Rabbeinu would have saved it. As over there, the Zohar himself gives a mashal of two people that were in a boat, and the captain says, I'm so great that even though there was a mabul, even though there was a storm, I was able to get out of it. And he says, but I'm greater than you because I saved the whole entire ship. My captain capabilities were able to save the whole entire ship, which puts me a step above you, that I was able to do it. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu, of course, is on a different level. Sheyuchal ikanes ha'eretz Yisrael al yadam. Moshe Rabbeinu asked Bnei Yisrael in Parshas Dvarim, and what did he tell them? He said that if you would have davened for me, if you would have cared, then I would have been able to get in. Here it is, Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest of all the Nevi'im. He had 515 times that he davened, and he wasn't able to get into Eretz Yisrael. And what does he say? If all of Klal Yisrael together got together, we would have had the capabilities to pull him out. This is the power of Tefillah. Noach himself, even though there was a door of Hamas, a door of Chatufim, Noach himself would have been able to save everybody. All required is one small, measly thing. Get together and daven. We have to get together and daven, and everyone should do it. Even Noach is a Yochid, or Moshe Rabbeinu speaking to the Tzibur, that you guys have the incredible capabilities as a Tzibur. We can have more powerful davening than a Moshe Rabbeinu. That is the power of a Tzibur, and that's the power of a Tefillah of a Tzibur. That's the Hochacha that none other than Rav Chaim Shmulevitz writes in a Sichot Musar during the Yom Kippur War. He was in the mitten of Yom Kippur War 50 years ago today. To this day, Mamash was in the middle of Yom Kippur War a couple weeks after the war, and here we are a couple weeks into the war, after the Simchat Torah War. And he gave these words of Tochacha in order to prove this point, that there's nothing that's going to stop in front of our tefillot. If we're able to do it, that's an incredible thing. I'm just going to add a very important point here. And that is that in Parshas Matot we see Elef L'mateh, L'kol matot b'nei Yisrael tishlechu letzavah. Before they're about to fight the big war of Midian, we're talking about the Dor Adeh, we're talking about big tzaddikim. It says over there that for each mateh, 3,000 people are taken per mateh, which equals 36. Do the math. 36,000 people. 12,000 chayalim. 12,000 chayalim. Are you joking? That's not even a quarter of our miluim. That's nothing. How are we going to do? What are we going to do with 12,000 miluim? 12,000 were to watch the utensils, to take care of the weapons, and 12,000 to daven. To daven, Ribbono Shel Olam, exactly the same amount of chayalim we needed, as we needed the same amount to go ahead and daven. Zelu madzeber alukim. Why can't they just stay at home and daven? Everyone stay home and daven. Women, men, children, whoever it is, whoever's not in the tzavah, go ahead and daven. You have to specialize. You add 12,000 people that have to go out and daven, and they can't stay at home, and they have to do with a whole bunch of quorum together, everyone getting together. It wasn't just enough, and it had to be exactly like the Chayalim, has to be exactly 12,000 parallel to the amount of daveners. What's the pshat? So say the Mefarshim, the pshat is obvious, just like we know that there are all different facets in an army, the army and the Air Force and the Marines. So we all know there's the Navy, there's all different aspects. So too, by Klal Yisrael, we have a Ruchni Dika army. We have an army that's another aspect to an army, and that's our spiritual army. Without that spiritual army, we get nowhere, and we don't need any more than 12,000. If we have that spiritual army behind us, those people that are davening for us, parallel one to the next, one for a one, then we're safe, and we don't even need so many soldiers. That's the ones who are going to protect us. We have a Kippat Barzel from Loshen Kippah. We have an iron dome. We have that dome, which is that kippah that's on top of us, that is protecting us. As long as the Tehillim are going, then the Tilim are not going. The miracles that we're surrounded by with all these Tilim that are falling in all aspects of the sky from every left to right and center. And here we are being absolutely protected because of the incredible Amunah, the Achdut, the getting together of Klal Yisrael, that we're able to do it, and because of our protective capabilities of doing it. But we can't die down from this effect. On the first few days, everybody was davening. There were kfutzot of Tehillim that were getting together. And slowly but surely, it's dying down. We're Yotze Zayin, as they say, with 2 Tehillim at the end of davening. And we're doing it in the most minimal way as possible. But we don't realize that the Tehillim can't be any less than the warriors that are there. Just like they're about to go in and do Milchama when they go in, so too our Tehillim has to only get stronger and not any less. It has to be able to take care of it. Incredible point that Rav Chaim actually points out over there. That we know that Noach was supposed to daven, and because he didn't daven, it's called Bei Noach. It was on him, by Yemaleh Aretz Hamas, only because he didn't daven. But you know what? It's an interesting idea, and that is that there really weren't 10 people that were tzaddikim. Avram Avinu also davened until he got to 10 people, and then he stopped, because anything less than 10 people, he's not going to survive. So how is Noach bothering to do it? Look around, a bunch of Rishayim, good for nothings, the people that are all doing mean things, Achzariyot, they're stealing, whipping, they're full of arayot, of illicit relations. It's all over for them. There's nothing to daven for, there was nothing to save. There was nothing to work on. So why bother davening? Why does he get smacked across the face because there wasn't 10 tzaddikim that were the one? And the answer is a very simple one. When something hurts, you scream. It doesn't matter why, it doesn't matter how. Avram Avinu screamed, he tried his best, 50, 40, 30, he tried his best to get as close as he could to 10. And then when it was too late, he did, but he did the screaming. But if something's painful, then you scream. You go ahead and say something. I was one time on a bus, on a tender, we were going to the Mir on a Hasa'ah. And outside I couldn't help but look and see, when we were in Yerushalayim, parked at a traffic light, we're at a red light, I saw the guy next to us. It was a slightly drizzly, rainy day, and the person was wearing he was on a motorcycle, heavy-duty motorcycle, and he was wearing a leather jacket. He had his sunglasses on, and he gave that cool face, which everybody likes to do because that comes part of the costume, that he was doing that. Then the light turned green, and he said him go, and he speeded out after the green light, and he took a quick left turn. He took a quick left turn. However, he seemed to forget that it was a drizzly, rainy day, and the street was a little bit wet, and his motorcycle slipped and flipped into a circle. And it went into a little galgal, and it fell on top of his leg, smashing his leg and breaking a few bones on the way, no doubt. What was incredible and to watch, and I felt bad for the guy, but incredible to watch, is the same cool guy 2 minutes before started screaming, Ima! 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 Now his mother wasn't there. Let me tell you, she wasn't sitting in the back seat over there. She wasn't around. She was probably at home, waiting and wondering how he is. What was he screaming about? He wasn't crying for anything except for the fact that he was screaming. Because when something hurts, you scream. When it's painful, you do something about it. You cry out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you cry to your Ima, you cry out to something. But something has to go. If it hurts, it screams. And that was the Taina Noach. Noach, if it really bothered you, the situation, the Chilul Hashem that was going on, the amount that people didn't recognize the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the whole Bria was full of Hamas, it was full of problems, it was Batishcha Ta'aretz, everything was bad, so it was time to do something about it. At least scream. It doesn't matter if it works or not, it doesn't make the difference. You at least scream out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know what you have to do, and that's the meat of being Noisa Abel Chavero, the connecting, feeling the pain of someone else, feeling. And when do you scream? When you know that what he has is what I have, not sitting in your salon comfortable, and just thinking and watching the news and going, wow, what a shame. Oh well, okay, I hope it gets over soon. I hope the tzava kills them. It's a lot more than that. It's a lot about thinking and picturing the situation, feeling the pain, acknowledging what it is, and doing something about it. I'm going to have another shir B'ezrat Hashem in halacha about do we have to do something in a halachic dika way, B'ezrat Hashem. We'll be speaking about that also. But at least this concept of being nosab elam chavero comes from a place of heaviness, a place of appreciating what is going on around me, and it's happening to me also no less than the other person. Caring is iniquity. These days we call it empathy, but it's a little bit more than being empathetic. Because empathetic, and if I don't mind me saying, a little bit of a game. A therapist has to do it because it's a way of connecting to the person. It's fine, and you're supposed to do it. But this is a lot more than that. It's sympathy. It's really feeling the person's pain, really getting there, getting into the kishkas, wanting to do it, and over there pushing myself to do something a little bit extra, something that I wouldn't have done. Not just being yotze, like I said, with a couple tehillim at the end of davening. Maybe it really means going in and saying tehillim a little bit more. Maybe it means going over and beyond and trying to help people that I can help. And it means if I live in Eretz Yisrael, not necessarily running away, if I can say that, even though I understand sometimes people are running through trauma. But in a certain situation, to try not to, just as we say, lihitragel lehamatzav, to get used to the situation. Trust me, the chayalim that are in Gaza right now, that are walking in, they didn't mitragel, they didn't get used to the situation. They haven't become already passive and used to what's going on. They're feeling the pain, and the pain that we have to do. And of course, this is all also connected to this crazy nation that we call Yishmael. The Amcha of Yisrael, Rav Chaim Vital writes in the Sefer Eitz Dat. He brings on a capital in Tehillim. He says that the last Golet that will be, the fifth Golet that will be the Golet of Yishmael. Now this is an unbelievable nevuah, because this was written almost 500 years ago. Yishmael was nowhere intact. I mean, there were somewhat, getting involved with the Crusades and this, but the Christians were the ones in charge. Israel was a barren land. There wasn't much to say about Yishmael being here as much. And it's an incredible thing to think that during the time when we had nothing to do with the Arabs at all, and the Arabs were somewhat tame, especially to us, that we have this issue that we're going to be in a fifth galut, which we call the galut of Yishmael. And he says it's the galut of the Pera Adam. He says, Ki lechen nikra Yishmael. Why are they called Yishmael? Ki Yishma kel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will listen to their cries. HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to their cries. And more than that, Shatidim Yisrael litzok te'akod gdolot, because we're going to end up screaming big screams, b'yemei galuto. Ve'az Yishmaim kel v'yanim. And he takes it to the other direction. Hashem will listen to our cries. If, as we say, Zelu Madzef, they're crying and they're screaming to their Kebiyochel God, which they call Allah, which Kebiyochel is the same God as ours because they couldn't think of another one. So we have to go ahead and find our true tefillah, our koach of tefillah, and that is the Zelu Madzeh. That's the parallel that will be able to counteract what they did. And he's madgish over there. We don't know what's going to be. And we have no other hope. But the type of cry has to be a cry where we know has to be a cry that it's not just, okay, well, also daven, we'll throw in a few tehillim, but at the same time as I'm watching the news and to see what's going to be and vote for Netanyahu to go ahead and finish them off, head off each one of them. Of course, we all want that. But it's not like that. The tehillim has to be, the tefillah has to be in a way that we're in an absolute confusing situation, a situation where there's no win, no way out. Every time we do a little, they blow up their own hospital and they blame it on us. There's a no way out situation. They're hiding behind their own civilians, and if we kill one of them, we're screamed out from here till Shemayim. And I don't want to sound pessimistic, but even if we do, and alvai we shall and will uproot this whole disgusting and this abominable Hamas that exists, and even the Islamic Jihad, where do you think all their kids are coming from? All the kids that, of course, we can't get rid of them because they're innocent civilians, those same innocent civilians that when the shu'im, when the people that were captives were walking in there, they were hitting them with sticks, and they were beating them, and they were laughing, and they were partying at the time. All those innocent, pure people that, of course, we have to give them rations and take care of them and be good to them. Those same innocent people are going to grow up one day. Hagdim ne'etzon, we know that the little sheep will eventually grow up, and it doesn't take much long, 5-10 years, and you end up getting the same entire remedy. There is no other place to turn except for Avinu Shebashamayim. Even though, of course, we need to uproot them and do the best that we can, and even if it's just a stall device, but at least we know the way that we will get out of it is only through this way of spreading our davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, getting it completely to the tachlit of what we need to do, and that is the matara itself of our davening. I want to point out one yesod, and this we're coming to a finish, is that it's not just that davening is just a good way to speak to Kadosh Baruch Hu and tell us to help. Of course, that's also the aspect. But if you know the whole matara, what is the purpose that we daven 3 times a day, and we ask Hashem special bakashat of things we need, which doesn't make so much sense, because if we need it, Hashem will give it us. If we don't need it, He didn't give it us. And if there's a gzera that we're not supposed to give it, so what's the point of our davening anyways? Why do we have to do it 3 times a day? Why not once a day? Why not once a week? As long as I just have to remind the Kadosh Baruch Hu of the things that I am requiring, of what I need. But the answer is, of course, that it's not for Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's for us. The whole idea of tefillah is because we are naturally inclined to say koyechi v'yotzim yodi. That's part of our kishkas, it's part of our nature. It's part of our nature and our nurture also in this day and age, that we're focused on me, myself, and I. There's a much more focus of everything that I've accomplished. If I made a good investment and I succeeded, of course that's from me. If someone is sick and he has to take some refuah that helps him out, of course that's from us. That's from our intelligence. And if I'm able to pull out a very matzliach in my chinuch with my children, that's because I kept to the rules, I did what I need to do, and that's what it is. Sometimes we tend to forget where it comes from. The whole idea of tefillah is just a constant reminder. Yes, when I ask Hashem for a parnasa, so when the parnasa comes, I remember, that was from you, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Gedank. Thank you for the parnasa. And that means I'm not just mentioning the stop, because that's the whole purpose of this tefillah. When we're busy in a war that is all based on the koich v'yotzim yodi, the power and the might of our army, of our nation, of how far we've become, of our technology, of the amount of intelligence that we have all over, and the strength that we have in Baruch Hashem. We have America behind us, all right, Joe. Since it's all with us, so therefore we have to go ahead, and that's when we have to have a tefillah to put things into perspective. That's all it's about. To put things into perspective, a lot more than just asking Kadosh Baruch Hu for our help. It's to put things into perspective that we should know that Eino Novado. It's only coming from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Any step that we do, anywhere that we go, Hashvieni ad kolecha, Kadosh Baruch Hu said, and Yam Suf, he said, I want to hear your voice, Kadosh Baruch Hu mitavel tfilatam shel tzadikim. He's looking for us. He's looking for us to do that. And that's the only way that it's going to come. And we can do it. If you have the capabilities to do it, we can do it. And like I said, Zelu Matzet, that's the meat of Yishmael. Yishmael is the idea of Yishmakel, the idea of listening to the kolot, and we have to go ahead and use those kolot in the opposite direction of what it was given to us. And you should know the Kedusha Levi writes that when it talks about Noach being mechus ramana, doesn't mean that he had no bitachon. What, he had to wait for the mabul to happen because he didn't really believe it's going to happen. He didn't believe in Kadosh Baruch Hu. He spoke straight to Hashem. He said he's tzaddik. It's hard to say that he was. So say the Chassidish Sfarim that he didn't have bitachon in himself. He didn't really believe that he can do it. He didn't believe that it was for his chut that he would be saved, or that he could save everybody else. That's what it was. It was a lack of self-esteem in the wrong place, similar to Tzidkiyahu. It is said many times, what Paul used to say about Tzidkiyahu, a similar idea, that he was a good king. There was many contradictions to a good king or a bad king. He was a good king. He just had no imun bitachon atzmi in himself that he was able to do it. Similar to say about Shaul HaMelech, an incredible tzaddik. But he was too much of a Nava. His Nava went so far that he even saved some of Amalek, and that was his point of downfall. The problem with Noach was what? That he went ahead and he didn't believe in himself. So we have to go ahead and believe and know that every tefillah that we do works. Just like we know that all it takes is one missile to lo aleinu blow up and cause major damage and to kill a soul. Lo aleinu v'lo alechem. Baruch Hashem, it hasn't done to us that would fill in their hospital and kill hundreds. Beautiful. Right? That's the way it's supposed to be. Because we have a siyata d'ishmaya and they don't. That's the real answer. And that it only comes from our koch of tehillim, our koch of tefillah. All of Mei Noach came because he forgot to daven. He forgot to put it out. He didn't have confidence in himself to be able to go ahead and pull it out and be able to do it. And this is our battle. This is how we will win the Yishmakel. Shabbat Shalom.